Sisters and brothers, fathers and mothers, families and friends, it is a pleasure to be here. It is an honor to be here, and in my estimation, it is absolutely a responsibility to be here. Now, I say it's a pleasure because I always love getting the opportunity to reconnect with the beautiful Southern California Muslim community. If you love living in this beautiful state, make some noise right now. Alhamdulillah. I say it's an honor to be here on behalf of the Islamic Shura Council of Southern California, celebrating 28 years of service to our beloved community. Yes, that deserves a bigger round of applause than that. 28 years of unity, leadership, family values, and community. That's what this event is about. That is what we are celebrating today, and it is my honor and indeed responsibility to be here. And I say that because I think about the words of my beloved mentor, may he rest in peace, Dr. Maher Hathout, striving in pursuit of justice. Us as a community striving in pursuit of justice, making sure that not a single aspect of our community or group within this beloved Muslim community of ours in Southern California is left behind, working together for the betterment of the entire community. And as I look at the diversity of faces, of backgrounds in this room, of experiences, life experiences, I'm extremely inspired. I'm inspired and I'm grateful to be someone who can say that I was a Southern California Muslim for 17 wonderful years of my life, alhamdulillah. I wanted to open with a poem celebrating the diversity that I see in this room. A poem that wasn't written by me. It was written by an African-American poet by the name of Langston Hughes, one of the most important poets in the history of this country. Indeed, the world. This poem is called The Negro Speaks of Rivers, and the reason why I wanted to start with this poem is because what I think he's able to do in this particular piece is remind us of the humanity that binds all of us through the unifying lens of these rivers, these freshwater sources of life that sustain civilizations all across the world for thousands of years. He said, I've known rivers. I've known rivers ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood and human veins. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. I've bathed in the Euphrates when dawns were young. I built my hut near the Congo and it lulled me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised the pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, and I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient, dusky rivers. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. He said, أنهار كثيرة عرفتها. أنهار كثيرة أزلية كما العالم عرفتها. أنهار أزلية تدفقت حتى قبل أن يتدفق الدم في شرايين البشر، وروحي ازدادت عمقا كالأنهار. فأنا بمياه الفرات استحممت حتى قبل انبلاج فجر الحياة، وعلى ضفاف الكونغو بنيت كوخي حيث هللت لي مياهه لأغفو. من دلتا النيل العالي أشرفت وشيدت الإهرامات العظيمة، وإلى شدو المسيسيبي استمعت حين مر به لينكولن في دربه إلى نيو أورلينز. ومع الغروب رأيت أحضانه الطينية تتحول إلى كتل ذهبية. لقد عرفت أنهارا أزلية معتمة كما الغسق، وروحي توغلت في القدم، وروحي ازدادت عمقا كالأنهار. Rest in peace, Langston Hughes. I hope those words were well received. I feel that reciting the work of Langston Hughes in classical Arabic also hopefully can be seen as a way of honoring just how beautiful, how powerful, and how timeless his words were. Now, we have a wonderful program for you this evening, and I'm very, very excited to be hosting. We have an incredible list of speakers, some beautiful videos that were put together by the team. Can we give another round of applause for all of the organizers from the Islamic Shura Council of Southern California, Eventive, our AV team. You're really in for a treat this evening. 28 incredible years. Now, of course, we're going to be hearing the adhan for Maghrib soon, but I just want to make sure that you all don't leave. Not only will you be able to hear a little bit more from me and from the incredible speakers this evening, we're going to be also bearing witness to a beautiful and very symbolic moment of unity between Southern California's Shura Council and the Northern California Shura Council as well, something that I also believe will deserve a big round of applause from all of us this evening. And lastly, there's an incredible dessert buffet that you do not want to miss. I've been told that also deserves a round of applause, absolutely. We have a couple more minutes, inshallah, until the adhan, but I just wanted to say once again, I'm so proud to be able to say that I watered many of my roots as a Muslim American here in Southern California. And though I left a couple of years ago, I live in New York now, my heart is here. I think there is something really special and unique about living in Southern California as a Muslim, in the way that you can relate to the land, in the way that we can relate to the texts, the hadith, the Quran, the way we are surrounded by some of the most beautiful nature this earth has to offer us. We're reminded each and every day of Allah's blessings, Allah's beauty, Allah's bounty. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. It's something that I think about. It's a verse from the Quran I think about immediately when I land here. And I'm reminded of this incredible beauty. Dr. Maher, Allah yarhamu, even joked about it being pre-Jannah. May he rest in peace. And I think we are really fortunate between here and Northern California, not just in terms of what we're surrounded by and the beauty, but also the minds that are here and the heart and soul of this community that is really unique. And leads the way for many communities across the country. And so when you think about an organization like the Shura Council and what it's been able to do for 28 years for this community, to offer an umbrella for all of us to come together regardless of where we might live in this beautiful Southern California, to come together and to understand that at the end of the day it's about unity. And we can't go far without being unified. So please, when you think about giving this evening, please think about all of the incredible potential, not just in terms of the last 28 years, but what we are going to be able to accomplish in 28 more years, inshallah, as a community moving forward. So please give and give generously. MashaAllah. United we thrive. And I think about another very important topic for this evening. The idea of leadership. It's one of the very first thoughts that comes to mind when I think about the Shura Council of Southern California. When I think about all the incredible individuals who for the last 28 years took it upon themselves, oftentimes in their extra time, with careers in medicine, careers in law, professors who still understood that work didn't end at 5 p.m., and committing themselves to the community building and the leadership building that it would take to be able to do this work for decades and to continue to do this work, inshallah, for years to come. That's what this event is about. That's what supporting the Islamic Shura Council of Southern California is about. It's investing in the future of this community and in the future leadership of this community, which takes time to cultivate and it takes time to nurture. Alhamdulillah. We have time and we have an incredible community who can make that possible. I think about a word that I heard often growing up, nasib. In Arabic it means, I suppose you could say fortune or luck, Ma fi nasib. There's no nasib, but oftentimes there is. And I think there was an incredible amount of nasib and good fortune that brought this community together. The many different layers of this community, from many different walks of life. The indigenous Islamic community that exists here, that has been here long before many of the immigrants who came here. Of course, our African American brothers and sisters in Islam. And the immigrant community and the subsequent generations of the immigrant community that exist here. So many layers, complex layers, Spanish speaking, Urdu speaking, Arabic speaking, Farsi, English. It's a beautiful mix, and it's truly representative of all that this religion and this community has to offer, and the promise that this community has to offer. Nasib, like houses and spouses, like holes in your trousers, like buttons to blouses might leave them exposed even in clothes. Wowzers, like radio lie, I just see through facades. It's like cheats in the code. People, how we allow this type of evil to grow. Behold, now we're around, it's like people can glow. So you know, it isn't just about not bringing a knife to a gunfight, it's about not bringing a dull knife to a cutting board. What you fronting for? Pushing 40 and I'm stunting more because the longevity is all I've ever really been gunning for. Prefer my music in a sublime mode, otherwise it's Quran mode. 16 barbecue shish kebab spinner refined mode, Offendum. I know my journey isn't everybody's, but it means everything to somebody I know. That's who I keep rhyming for, improving the timing for. Give me as shiny as diamond, I find the flaw. Excuse me, but I'm the raw, grass-fed, lamb leg, omnivore. Long as it's halal, I'm gonna get the mal. I'm a sore. Ya ibn al-halal, I am a sure bet halal connoisseur, doing it all for my family of 4 and believers in Allah across the board, from ages tender to parents grander. We get respect when we connect across the generations through our intellect. Please believe, everything naseeb. Everything naseeb. It's hard seeing friends of mine sometimes live a rotten life by not appreciating their own lovely lot in life. There's no excuse in being lazy, but it's truly kind of crazy. Doom scrolling through the day, saying, if only, then maybe. Habibi, be content with what you have. Matter of fact, rejoice in it. When it's all said and done, happiness is but a choice, isn't it? Learn to love the journey and find your voice in it. Before you're laid out on a gurney trying to be something you're not. Got you hiring an attorney because you did some dumb things, hoping people on the internet like and think it's hot. Where's your gumption? Pulling stunts to get a stranger's heart pumping. Don't forget your brain's primary function. Everybody over here trying to be there. Everybody over there wants to be here. Take it from Omar. No need to go far. Your naseeb is waiting for you right there where you are. Please believe. From ages tender to parents grander, you get respect when you connect across the generations through your intellect. Please believe. Everything naseeb. See, knowledge, thank you. Knowledge will give you power, but character, respect. Leadership requires respect, integrity, and trust. And that takes time to build, that takes effort, and that takes community to build. Please give and give generously this evening when you think about the Shura Council and the promise of the future generations. This one's for Haifa, Yafa, Akka, Gaza, Ariha, Ramallah, Tabariya, Ramla, Jenin, Safad, Beit Lahem, Al-Quds, من الصحراء للجبال, and every Philistine hood around the world where boys and girls are taught to idbitch before they walk, learn to zagrit before they talk, where tatriz ain't just an art, it's part and parcel of a lifestyle that connects them to the roots of olive trees and orange groves where thuggish settlers point and shoot. Brainwashed by a birthright, bankrolled by our taxes, committing war crimes of the worst type, emboldened by a fascist leadership, too blind to see that these apartheid walls erected prevent us all from being free. So God bless the truth seekers, solidarity movements, journalists, academics being blacklisted for views that pose a threat to the establishment. It's chokehold on the news, though off the fields we've lost already, there is still way too much to lose. A nation state is not salvation, no matter how much you defend it. Dialogues without some patience or disagreements never end. And religious men who are not humble only play themselves, pretending they alone have all these answers, mixing messages they're sending. Was it Ishmael or Isaac, or does asking miss the point? Will it be Jesus or Elijah? Why would Allah disappoint? If you know death is inevitable, then let nature take its course. No homicides, nor suicides will open heaven's gate by force. For what is life without a struggle but a hollow shell of dullness? Why be Jewish, Christian, Muslim if you don't believe in oneness? Adonai is not a realtor or a predatory lender, not a judge who can be bribed nor crooked criminal defender. He is kindness and compassion, justice, mercy, fairness and togetherness, and of all praise worthy, the creator and sustainer of the moon and stars above. La ilaha illallah. Hallelujah. God is love. God is love. Rest in peace, Dr. Hassan Hathout. God is love. When I think about some of the words that were spoken this evening, when I think about the promise of what the Shura Council can mean for our community, how truly they will be publicly representing us, inshallah, in the best of ways, as Dr. Ahmed Subh said so eloquently. I think about accountability. I think about how an event like this, bringing people from all the different facets of the Southern California Muslim experience together in one room reminds us how we are all connected and how we can't live in our silos and ignore each other. That's not the world we live in anymore. That's not the reality we live in anymore. And so I feel that what I'm seeing this evening, inshallah, is also the beginning of a new chapter of 28 years of unity in a deeper and more complex way for our children and our children's children to really live up to this promise. Some years ago, sadly, there was something that happened to a young Muslim boy, not in this state, in Texas, who wanted to show his teacher what he did in his spare time, let's say. And rather than see the brilliance in this boy and the promise in this boy, who brought essentially what was a clock to school, they saw a threat. And the years and years of propaganda and the years and years of misinformation that painted our community in such a negative light allowed this teacher, who normally would probably know better, allowed her to think that this child was a threat to her and to the community, rather than see the promise and the wonder in this boy and the scientific genius. So is it a clock or is it a bomb? Is it a poem or is it a song? I've been making music for over a decade, and yet they keep asking me if it's haram. Brother, go ask your mom or an imam. I'd rather the former, but that's just my preference. Or here's a suggestion: pick up a Quran. It's for those who think. Ulil albab. Reflecting upon this heavenly reference, we ponder and question the many blessings from husbands and wives to nations and tribes. Striving to know one another's the lesson as tolerance beckons at every petty divide. 'Tis better to settle with egos aside, for what hangs in the balance is more than our pride. It is lions and rhinos and tigers and eagles too feeble to hide when solar flares can choke the air and roast the hairs of polar bears who've grown so rare. Afloating over there is hopeless, no one cares, but don't despair. The coast is clear for those who know how to cope and share with open hearts, not evil eyes, for Mother Earth, she will survive. We live in love with hope and pride that Mother Earth, she will survive. We push and shove, we poke and pride, but Mother Earth, she still survives. And even if mankind should die, this Mother Earth, she will survive. Our Mother Earth, she will survive. Our Mother Earth, she will survive, oblivious to all the borders men of ignorance create. Fumbling over nation states that crumble when tectonic plates rumble. Warning signs to keep us humble as we boldly procreate. Segregate, then subjugate her from the deserts to the jungles, while presidents and kings keep building statues of their arrogance. And religious zealots argue over arbitrary narratives, reducing God to a facade to make you think that the imperative is how you dress or where you pray or maybe what names you've inherited. Look, such games are embarrassing, trivial to truth seekers, living their lives convivial, searching deep within for proof. Our teachers keep us in the loop, a generational gravitational orbit towards our precious youth. Forever true. Prophetic reapers of the seeds we've sown, our health is our wealth. Poetic martyrs preach to each his own, as life's longing for itself is in the eyes of sons and daughters, grand and great. The hand of fate is not a palm read by a psychic or a psalm read by a saint. It is the labor and the action and the work of decent men. It is the seconds and the minutes and the hours people spend preparing for our next of kin. For mothers, this is second nature. It's the brothers who lose sight and start these wars that complicate her. Boy, we push and shove, poke and prod, but Mother Earth, she still survives. We live in love with hope and pride that Mother Earth, she will survive. And even if mankind should die, this Mother Earth, she will survive. Our Mother Earth, she will survive. Our Mother Earth, she will survive. Inshallah. I wanted to share just one more thing with you all before we go into our coffee explorations. Something about the history of coffee that I found very intriguing. You see, according to the Abdul Qadir manuscript, Sheikh Umar was the very first man who sipped this aromatic brown brew when he was exiled from Mocha. Sent to a desert cave, Amir Usab, with little hope of ever returning, a Bedouin yearning, this Yemeni learning that with nothing to quell his hunger, his stomach forever churning, he'd better be resourceful. So he resorted to eating the beans of nearby shrubs and ne'er remorseful, but they were just too bitter to force through, and so he chose to roast the morsels. And when that made him way too hard, he softened them in hot water, and that's when something caught him off guard. The resulting liquid left him feeling rejuvenated and jubilated, almost forgetting the fact that he'd been excommunicated. And when word had finally gotten around of this magic mountain medicine that cured the sick and gave a kick, they called him back for question, and he said, in every habitat you're at, you have to find the lessons. Me, I made this drink to think, plus it's an appetite suppressant. I call it qahwa. And it went from qahwa to kahve, cafe to coffee. From an Ethiopian cherry to one of the most traded commodities in the world after oil. And in a world long before it, it's what Muslims were known for, so of course they tried to ban it, till Pope Clement VIII felt he could no longer ignore it, said it wasn't so satanic after all, and had them pour it for him, then import it. Fast forward to today, where the importance of a pour-over in Northeast LA can simply not be overstated. And while the hippest hipsters have a casual debate about which spots are overrated, I just try to keep it civil. Highly caffeinated, engaging in the sort of conversation that keeps me fascinated about these little brown beans, traveling streets of immense silk, from the Far East to the Wild West, laced with sweetened condensed milk, maintaining their robustness no matter how far you send them, like sincerely yours, Omar Offendum.